So first, let us understand what is Ansible and why it is required and how important Ansible is for DevOps engineer point of view. So Docker, Kubernetes, right? So these are the tools which mostly DevOps engineer is working on day-to-day activity. Jenkins means any CI/CD pipeline tool, and these are the tools like Ansible, Puppet, Chef, right? So these are the tools which means development team, they work very less on that, or almost nothing they do on these tools. But most of the time, DevOps engineer is working on that. So they are, you know, comes under the day-to-day activities. So I will be using the same cluster, the one which I was using for Kubernetes. Okay, same machine, or if you want, you can create one more machine. So now first let us understand uh, what is Ansible. And before understanding the Ansible, let's understand what is infrastructure. So if we know the infrastructure, so what is infrastructure means? It means that you need to set up one environment for your application deployment, your application monitoring, your server monitoring. So you need to create one infrastructure. Like in uh, Kubernetes, we have used Kubernetes cluster. For Docker, we were using some machine. So it means they all comes under the infrastructure. Now, infrastructure is maintained by operation team. Okay? So the operation team, they maintain the infrastructure. So for example, if the server is down, so you will not ask the developer, you will not ask um, the DevOps engineer, you will ask the operation team. Hey, operation team, this server is down. Or if you have set up something which some monitoring tool which basically sends you the notification that this server is down or CPU utilization is very high or you need to do some patching, right? So their operation team, sysadmin team, right? So those comes into the picture. So infrastructure is managed by the operation team. Now, when we talk about the DevOps, so DevOps is end-to-end CI/CD pipeline, right? Which is end-to-end automation for the CI/CD pipeline. Now, when the application is deployed in the form of container or Kubernetes, right? After that, it will be deployed on some server, right? Cluster is a server, right? And it is the servers are to be maintained. So those things are basically managed by the operation team. Now consider you need to install Kubernetes, you need to install Docker, you need to install Java, you need to create users, you need to create some files, etc. So these things where you need to change the configuration. So this is called means to manage this. This is called configuration management. Okay? So this is called configuration management. So it means if I say, hey operation team, do one thing, install Java 17 on all the machines. There are, consider there are 100 machines and you have given that work to the operation team that install Java on 100 machines. So that is basically uh, the activity which operation team they need to do. So on 100 machine, there are 10 uh, team members in the operation team. They start, uh, executing that script which you have given to them on 100 machines, right? So when you install that, when you install this on 100 machine, just one second. Let me close something. Switch out. Right. So So when you install it on 100 machine, because you are doing it manually, so there may be a possibility that you miss some of the machines. Okay, out of 100 machine, maybe you missed 2 machines. When you miss 2 machine and maybe your admin who, when he checked those 2 machines only. I say, hey, Java is not installed, and you mentioned Java is installed, and there are a lot of efforts because the activities are is more than 80% it is manual, right? Script maybe you are executing, but you need to remotely connect to those system and execute the script. It is time consuming. There may be a chance of the error, right? Means you are unable to install. Okay. Another problem is that rollback. What is rollback means? For example, your boss again came to you and consider you have installed it on 100 machine and it took 2 days, 2 full days, right? Now, your boss again came to you and he say, oh, there is a mistake. We need to install Java 8, not Java 17. So in that case, you are saying, okay, we need to uninstall and install. Maybe again, he is giving some script to you and you need to execute on those 100 machines. So there are a lot of manual efforts are required and chances of mistake is very high. So now operation team comes uh, to the DevOps engineer, and or DevOps engineer comes to the operation team and he is asking what are the activities you are doing manually. We need to convert it into an automate process because we are using DevOps, or in DevOps we should not use anything manual. So they will put this kind of case that we need to install Java on 100 machines, or we need to create a same user on 100 machines. Sometimes we need to revert back. So then what DevOps engineer will do, he will say, okay, we will use the infrastructure as a code tool. So what is infrastructure as a code tool? So you are having some commands or script. Those commands and script, you will define it on the master server. So there will be a master server, and those 100 machines are the client machine. And that script which you want to execute, it will be on the master machine. So there are two ways. One way is called the pull based, and second is called push based. So in pull based, basically what happens, say you are saying that out of 100 machine, maybe sometimes only 50 machines they need this kind of configuration. So it means you you are giving you are saying, okay, client has to decide when this script is to be executed on this machine. Okay, or maybe some automation process on the client side. When it will go to the server, it will check what part of the script which is meant for this particular client, and it execute that script, right? That script is also known as manifest file. Okay, like in Kubernetes also we call the manifest file. So manifest file. So on that manifest file, what thing is to be uh, executed on the client machine. So client goes to the server, it pull that script part and execute it on the machine. Okay, so if such kind of process is happening, this is called pull based model. And for the pull based model, there are some configuration management tools are there, like Puppet. Puppet is one of them. Chef. Right? So these are pull based, and these are the first two uh, configuration management tool which were used in the DevOps. So 2003 or 2004 somewhere, these were into the market. Right? Now, sometimes what happens, so whenever you are using this Puppet, for example, so what you need to do, you need to install Puppet server on the server machine. We are not discussing Puppet here, but I just want to give you some overview of the pull based so that it will be easy to understand why we are using Ansible. Okay. So Puppet server, and Puppet server will send the request to the Puppet server, and there is a Puppet client. On the client machine, you need to install Puppet client. So with that, client server, they communicate to each other, and all the communication happens very securely with the SSL certificates. Right now, when this happened, when SSL company means your data is to be encrypted when it transfer between server and the client. So, but you need to install Puppet server, you need to install Puppet client, and then the communication starts. So if there are 100 machines where you want as a Puppet client, so you need to install Puppet client software on those 100 machines. Right. Now, second is the push-based mechanism, where Ansible comes into the picture. Ansible comes very late after these, tools. It came somewhere in 2012. These were in 2004 or 5 somewhere, right? Ansible came in 2012, and this is a push-based mechanism. What is push-based mechanism? Push-based mechanism is basically now the now consider that you are having 100 servers. Okay? You are having 100 server where you want to install Java. So now, in the case of Puppet, what I need to do, I need to install Puppet client on 100 machines. But Ansible says you need not to install any client software on the client machine for Ansible. Then how they will communicate? They communicate through SSH, secured shell, right? So secured shell is one of the secured way to connect with the Linux machines, right? So if you are using, say, an example, a machine and you want to connect through mobile extern, so we are connecting through SSH only. So port number 22, with that, they can communicate to each other. So they are in the network and they connect with the SSH key. We will see how to generate the SSH key and how we can share with the client, right? So here, now these are uh, these are connected with the SSH key. No need to install Ansible on the client machine. Ansible is only installed on the master server. Because there is no agent is installed, so Ansible is called agentless. Because we need not to install any agent on that machine. Ansible is mainly used for the push-based mechanism. Ansible is the open source, but now it is under Red Hat. So Red Hat has acquired Ansible now. Still, it is open source, right? So, right. So we will be talking about the Ansible only. So Ansible is a infrastructure as a code tool or configuration management tool, which is basically used to manage the configuration on the client machine through master server, right? Do you have any questions so far?
No, sir.
Yeah, good. Okay. Now, um, so what we will do, we will create this kind of cluster where we will have master server and worker node, right? I will use this K master only, okay, for the master server. So I'll say sudo su. Okay. So now let me go back to my nodes. So here you will see infrastructure as a code. Now Ansible installation. So how to install? So Ansible totally works on the YAML part, right? When we write the manifest file. So manifest file are called playbook. We will talk about that. right? So first thing, what we need to do, we need to install some dependencies, which is the software properties, comma. So let me install those dependency on my master server. Right. So everything is be there. Now, next is that I want to install the Ansible from a repository, which is the Ansible PPA, right? So I need to add it into my APT repository. So it is going and it is saying I'm adding this. It will take a little bit time. So it is fetching the uh, Ansible related files and putting it into my APT repository. So that is the basically I'm going to install the latest version of Ansible. Okay. So if you see Ansible, if I say Ansible here, so let us see the logo of Ansible. Ansible logo is something like this, okay? And it's now Red Hat product, as I mentioned. Right. So this is done. Then I will say apt update because we added one repository. Okay, this is done. Now I will say apt install Ansible -y. So now it will install the Ansible. Take a little bit time, 20 MB. I would say that because we are using Ansible and then we will see the Jenkins on our KMaster. So means I will increase the RAM and CPU capacity of my master server because we are installing so many things which consumes more. So currently I have 4 GB RAM and 2 CPU. So I will increase to 4 CPU and I will make it 8 GB RAM. In my system, it is having 24 GB of capacity. So I think I can do that. But
24 GB of RAM.
yeah, because I'm using sometimes very heavy DevOps tools. So that's why. But you can just check accordingly how much RAM you are having on your system. Just go to this PC, this PC.
Sir, I have 16 GB of RAM.
Oh, then it is fine. then you can also, because simultaneously if there are three virtual machines are running, so they need to use less than 16 GB, or you can say less than 14 or 15 GB if you are only working on the
For the Oracle virtual machine, I have assigned 4 GB RAM.
4 GB. Yeah, you means if you find that your system is going performance wise very slow, then you can increase, otherwise not required. Okay. So if you know, when you start Ansible or Jenkins on the machine, and if you find that it's not working as per your expectation, then you can increase the RAM and CPU. Okay, so Ansible is 93%, it is done. Especially on, when we are having the infrastructure at local machine, it takes little bit time. So we need to wait for this. Come on. Okay, so looks like Ansible is installed. We can double check Ansible hyphen version. So you can see Ansible core we are using, which is 2.20.4 is installed, and it is saying we have the configuration file at this path. So let us go to this path. So by default, it install it on this path, etc Ansible. Now if I say ls, so there are three files, right? So now let us understand this. First thing is the ansible.cfg file. So this is the file which is the configuration set or settings for Ansible Ansible. Okay. For example, if you want to change some settings, so you need to go to this particular ansible.configuration file. There is second, which is called the host file. This is called the inventory file. What is inventory file? Now, consider I have a server. This is my master, and I have many servers to which I can connect remotely through SSH. But I need to manage these two servers through Ansible. So what I will do, I will create one inventory file and I will add the entries, right? Add the entries into host file. Okay. So, so, so So then it is a host file or the inventory. Roles we will discuss later. So let us see now. See, this is my host file. Now let me first check the ansible.cfg file. So if I say cat and ansible.cfg file, so you can see it is empty because hash means these are the commands. And it is saying to generate the Ansible example file with all the properties or settings as default properties with a comment or disabled mode, then you need to run this command. So let us run this command. So it will create my ansible.cfg file. Now, if I open ansible.cfg file, now there are many properties here, but all are commented out. Now, if I search for Ansible um, or I'll search for inventory file. Okay. Inventory. So here you can see inventory, right? Inventory equals to, it is saying, this is my inventory file or the host file. Yes. So I want this one. By default, it is this one. But if you want to change your inventory file, you need to come to this configuration file and you need to modify the inventory file, right? So now this is fine. So I will save this. This is a VI editor I have opened. Right. Now let us see the host file. So if I say VI and host file, so here you can see everything is commented. Now what I want to do, so these comments are important actually. It will give you the suggestions how you can create your configuration file. So here if you see some collection, something, right? So I'll show you two ways, other ways you can search it into this comment. I'm deleting everything from here. Now I have my server, which is worker one. I will consider it as my web server, worker two as my web server. Okay. So I will say uh, this one. And I also have created one Red Hat machine, which is the RHEL. So that also I will take it as the client of my Ansible. So I will have three clients and one master. So now here, first on my worker node, I will consider this is my web server one. So I will check the IP address. So its IP address is 192.168.0.9. I will take this IP address and I will go here and put this IP address into my host file. Second, my worker node 2. So this is the IP address of my worker node 2, and I will put it into my inventory file. Same way, I will go to my Red Hat system. I will check the IP address. It is 192.68.0.3. Right. So I will put all these into just 1 second. Right. So now I had given these three IP addresses. So now when I use my Ansible and if I want to communicate with worker one, I will use this IP address. If these IP addresses are not in my host file, then you cannot communicate through Ansible. Okay. So this is the must entry. So this is one way. Second way is that you can create a group. For example, you are saying I have web servers. So web servers, these two are my web server, and Red Hat one is my DB server. Okay, I'm just categorizing. So for example, you want to install Apache on your web server and MySQL on Red Hat server or DB servers. So you are having, say an example, 10 web servers, and on all those 10 web servers, you want to install Apache. Now, if you don't make them as a group, then what will happen? You need to uh, you need to give the IP addresses of all the machines, which is not a good practice. Good practice is that group them together into one category, and then you can basically uh, then you can use that group name instead of all the IP addresses. Right here, I have two IP addresses for web servers, but it could be 100, not 100, maybe 15, 20, right? So in that case, this is easy way, right? So I will create this group. Now let me save this. My host file is saved, and this path I had given into my ansible.cfg file. This is my inventory file. Right? Now, next thing is that we need to create the SSH key. So I want to connect to this machine through my SSH, right? So here I have vbox user. Okay, so we can use vbox user also, or root user, whatever, right? So now here, if I go to the vbox user, which is the current user, now if I say uh, ls under the home directory, right, there is a .ssh directory, right? And here you can see something called authorized keys. So we need to give the SSH entry into this particular authorized keys. Let us see what is inside this authorized key at this moment. So if I say authorized keys, so you can see it is an empty file, right? Same way, if I go to the worker 2 and if I use the same command, right? If I use the same command, so you can see this is also empty. And if I check here also, here the username is Raman. Okay. Now here authorized key. So it does not have that, right? It does not have that key, authorized key. So now let me see whether SSH is there. Okay, I'll say sudo. Okay, so this directory itself is not there. Now let me check under root. Okay, it is not there. Sudo permission denied. Oh, in root it is there, but for Raman it is not there. Okay, so let us see. So now what I will do, I will create the SSH key. So the command is SSH on master server. I'm creating a public key. Okay, SSH key gen command. Okay, it will generate the key. Let me just see the syntax, proper syntax. Keygen, and I want to use this algorithm with RSA, and total bytes is 4096. Okay, so I will just use this one, -t and RSA 4096. Okay, now it is generating a public and private key. It is asking, do you want to keep it under this path? I'm okay with this, right? Now, next one is that we need to copy this to our remote machines, right? So what you need to do, you need to run this command. Like for example, I want to copy it to my uh, remote machine, which is this machine, and this machine IP address is 192.168.0.9. Okay, so I will use this IP address, and username is vbox user. vbox user. Right? So it is asking, do you want to copy this uh, public key? I'll say yes, I can trust this. No, it is asking the password of that user, because whether I'm able to, so I'm entering my password for VBox user. Okay, one key is added. Now it means if I say SSH and this IP address, 192.168.0.9, and if I enter the password, okay, right, so it is saying permission denied. Let us check again. Number of key added 1. Now try to log in with the machine SSH. Okay, we'll use this command. Okay, right, see, I'm able to connect to my worker node 1. Same way, now if I exit, now I'm exited from my worker node 1. Same thing I need to do it for another worker node, which is this one, right? So here the IP address is 192.10, right? .10. It is saying, do you want to connect? Yes. And I need to give the password. No, it is also copied. Now if I SSH to this machine, see, I am connected to worker node 2 remotely from my kmaster. Exit. Same way, I want to copy under uh, this machine, okay, which is having user Raman, and IP address is .3, I believe, 192.0.3, right? So now .3, right? And user is Raman. Yes. So key is getting copied. Okay, password. Now key is copied. Now I will say SSH, and this command, if I run, I should be able to connect to my RHEL. Right? So I'm connected to my RHEL. So what it is saying, activate the web console with, okay, that we can do later, or we can try this. We'll enable means my service will be automatically get started. We'll do sudo. So now I'll say exit. Right. Now, so now I can connect to my remote machine through my master machine. This concept, did you understand what I have done?
Yes, sir. Somehow.
Hmm? Through SSH, I'm connected to my remote machines. That, like, if you want to connect to your remote machine of virtual machine, how do you do in Windows? You go to the remote desktop connection, enter the IP,
VMware.
VMware, right, and then connect to that. But here in Linux, we use the uh, SSH key. So now Ansible needs the SSH connection. Okay, so now my setup is ready. And if I just go to this, earlier I was checking this authorized key. Now you can see there is something is entered into this, right? So this is the public key from master node is copied into the worker node. That is what happened actually. All right. So this is the installation as well as configuration for Ansible software point of view. Now, uh, next is that I want to know that how Ansible works. Right? In Ansible, we are having something called modules. Okay, something called modules. So what is module means? Module means predefined, okay, some predefined code is written. Like some functions, like if you are using Python, print function is already defined. You need not to define it, right? So there are some predefined modules are there. So what we can do, we can use those modules to execute on my remote machines. Okay. So for example, if I say I want to install Apache, so if I use this apt install Apache, so what it will do on worker one, so it will install Apache. But now because I need to manage it from the my master node, right? So I need means what Ansible has done, he has taken this command and put it into a module called apt module. Similar way, if it is a red hat based system, then yum. Something it is Windows, then Windows related Ansible you can use in Windows also. So then Windows related modules will be there. So you need not to write this command now, apt install Apache 2, if you are using apt module. So there are some properties, there are some methods which are already defined in that Ansible. All right. So let me just go to the Ansible documentation, right, to show you that uh, some of the modules. So if I go to the Ansible documentation, I'll say Ansible module list. Right? So here all the modules. Modules are not only related to the on-premises environment, but these are related to the on-premises or AWS cloud-based environment, etc. So these are all the modules. See, you can see AWS related modules are there, and many modules are there, right? So now Azure related modules are there, and so on, right? So these modules are already defined. So you need not to do anything related to the these modules because these are predefined. We will use these modules to achieve our desired state. Okay. So almost 3000 plus modules are already defined and it is keep increasing, right? Right. Now, everything you need to execute it on the master node, okay? Because master node is the one where you are having the where you are uh, where you are having command execution. Now Ansible tasks you can run in two ways. Number one, through commands, right? Through commands you can execute it, or you can execute by using playbooks. Playbooks are nothing but these are the YAML files. So you can execute by using commands or by using playbooks. Okay, playbooks are your scripts basically. First, we will talk about the commands. So these commands are called ad hoc commands. Okay. Now we will use these commands to use the modules, okay, and create our task. Let us. There are many modules, and which module is suitable for your requirement, that you need to uh, search that module, right? For example, uh, let me talk about one module which is called the shell module. So if I go here and if I say shell module in Ansible, so this is a built-in module, and here you can see what is shell module. This module is a part of the Ansible core and included all the Ansible in all the Ansible installation. In most of the cases, you can use short module named shell even without specifying the collection keyword. So means you need not to mention this ansible.builtin.shell. Only shell you can write, right? So now what it does, this module takes the command name followed by a list of space delimited argument. It is a module. For example, I'm on worker one, right? And if I say sudo and system serial status and Apache 2. So you can see that Apache 2 is not installed. Now I want to install Apache 2 on my web servers, because in the host file I have mentioned web servers. Same way, sudo system serial status and Apache 2. Right? So I don't have Apache, here Apache is installed. Okay, right. So now let me just tell you one more thing, which is called idempotency. Okay? That is called idempotency. What is idempotency means? All the configuration management tools like Ansible, Puppet, Terraform, right? So what they do, they are basically uh, what they are doing, they are basically checking the desired state. What is the desired state means? For example, you want to install Apache, and Apache is already installed on the target machine, on client machine. It is already installed. So then Ansible will not do anything. Okay. So means if the desired state is already there on the client machine, it will not do anything. If it is not there, then it will install the Apache. So this is called idempotency. Okay. In normal cases, what happens that if for example, Apache is already installed and you are again writing Apache installation command, then it will install, and after installation, means it will find, okay, all the files are there. After executing of that command, it will realize, okay, Apache is already installed, and then it will give you the output that nothing to update because everything is up to date. But in these configuration management tool, so they are basically they are checking the, if the desired state is already there, they don't do anything. No action is taken. Right. So, but there is a module which is called the shell module. Okay. So shell module is not following the idempotency. So it is basically what it is doing. It is running the command directly on the client machine. Let me show you what I mean here. Now, for example, here how Ansible commands will run with the Ansible. Okay, all the Ansible commands start with the Ansible. Okay, then you need to mention the inventory file. For example, if you don't mention the inventory file, it will go to the ansible.cfg file and it will check the inventory file path. It will execute uh, on the basis of that inventory file, like host file, right? Which is in the ansible.cfg. Now I want that a different host file or different inventory file. So in that case, if you want to give a different file name, then in that case, right, what I will do. So in that case, what I will do, I will use -i and that path of the host file. But I'm going to use the same inventory file, so I'm not using -i. Then I want to execute it on my web servers. So web server, if I say cat and host machine, so you can see web server is my worker 1 and worker 2. So what I want to do, Ansible, I want to execute a module. I want to execute it on the web servers. Okay, I want to execute it on the web server. What do you want to execute? A module, which is the first. Let us talk about the ping module. Okay, okay. Let's see the ping modules, whether I'm able to ping to my web server or not. Okay. Now, if I go to the documentation again, and here, if I say ping module in Ansible, now ping module in Ansible. So ping, the module is a part of Ansible core. Okay, inbuilt, it means ping even uh, without specifying the collection. Okay, you can use directly ping, and what it does, uh, right. So there is only one parameter. Definition is where. Try to connect to the host, verify usable Python, and uh, run the Pong. So Ansible is developed on top of Python. Okay. So what it is doing, it is basically when you run the ping command, it returns Pong if it is successfully connected to that particular machine. So let us check that one. So if I say ping, okay, there is no parameter I need or argument I need. Now what it will do, it will connect to my, so it is saying I'm unable to parse source. No inventory was parsed, only implicit local host is available. Oh, something wrong. Uh, web servers, that is correct. Okay, let me just check the syntax. I think I'm writing correct syntax. Uh, so this is web DB, right? That's correct. Okay, so what we can do, we can mention the Ansible user also, okay? Because we are using the Ansible user. So let me put the Ansible user here into my host file. Okay, let's add that one. So what I'll do here, Ansible user, and which is in this case vbox user. Same way, the Ansible user for this is same user, okay? And for this one, Ansible user is Raman. Okay, so because we set up the connectivity with this, right? So let me save this, and now let me try to run again this. So unable to pass etc Ansible host. Okay, unable to pass something. Let me see web. Yeah, this is correct. This is correct. DB server. Mm, okay. So Ansible all. This is correct. I think we need not to put the double quotes. provided host list is empty. Only the local host is available. Could not match the host pattern, ignoring web servers. 1 second. Web servers. Spelling is correct. Web servers. This is also correct. Let me check my Ansible.cfg file. Okay, inventory equals to that is correct. This way is also etc Ansible and host. Okay, now it worked, right? So now you can see there is a warning that it is running Python interpreter, which is 3.12, but the future installation dependency interpreter. Okay, so it is saying I'm running a different Python interpreter, but in future it may be. So it's a warning. We can ignore this. Okay, now you can see it returns 09. It is able to connect, right? The response is Pong. Here also it is able to connect. Response is Pong, right? So there was some problem in the ansible.cfg file. So I removed that array. I just kept the file name. Okay. So now you can see that there is a uh, output which is called success. So it means I am able to ping to all these machines. Now I want to discuss about the color coding also. Okay. So there are 3 color coding. One is green. So green means successful. Everything is fine. So here we return the success. It means my command get executed successfully. And no state change. What does it mean? It means, for example, I want to start a service on my remote machine, but service is already in the started state. So the output will be in the green color. Okay. Second is yellow. So yellow means successful only, but state change. What does it mean? For example, if I say that I want to start a service and it was in the stop state. So now with my Ansible command, it get started. So the output will be in the yellow color. So it means there is a state change. Third is this purple, right? So purple means warning, which you may or may not ignore that. And next one is red, means error. So these are the some color coding. Okay, so ping module returns me the green output and this purple. So purple is the warning, which is not impacting my output, but it is just saying that there is a warning that future installation and Python interpreter could cause the different interpreter to be discovered. Okay, so we just refer to this information, right? Now, ping module is I'm able to run it. Same way, I will check the shell module. Shell module, what it will do? It will directly run the Linux command. Okay, on my worker node shell. For example, if I say Ansible and to my web servers, what I want to do, I want to use a module which is called shell module, and I want to pass the argument. And argument is that I want to run apt update, right? Ampersand apt install Apache 2. So I want this command is to be executed on my web server. So my module name is shell module, which is inbuilt module because it's a part of Ansible core, and this command will be executed. Now, shell module does not follow that color coding. Means it always returns on the yellow output. So let me just run this. Okay. So now what it will do from my master server, I'm going to install. So there is some problem. Reading the package could not. Okay, permission denied. So what we will do. I will say sudo. Okay. So now it is going to my worker 1, and on worker 1 Apache was not installed. Worker 2 Apache was installed, right? So I'm running the command. So these are the commands. So tomorrow we will see with the playbook. So it is waiting. So I'm waiting for its response, right? Because it has to run the apt update command, and then Apache 2 minus y means install the Apache on worker 1, and worker node 2 is already there. So far it is not installed. So once it returns the response, after that we will check. Just taking some time. Let's wait. It's taking too much time. Not yet installed also. Okay, so I will just, because it is taking too much time. So what we will do, we will continue this for tomorrow. Hmm?
Okay, sir.
Uh, yeah, because it is taking too much time. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, so we'll connect tomorrow. We will continue our Ansible discussion in tomorrow's lecture as well. Yeah. Thank you.